You're listening to the AfterBuzz TV network, now the largest new media platform on the web, and your #1 source for after-show entertainment.
Very good, Gene Johnson.
The AfterBuzz Studios in Los Angeles, California. Presented by Maria Menounos and streaming live thanks to Akamai Technologies. This is AfterBuzz TV's Supernatural After Show. We'll break down tonight's episode and get you all the latest news and gossip. And now, another post-game wrap-up show for your favorite TV show. It's AfterBuzz TV's Supernatural After Show.
Hey, Supernatural fans. This song right here obviously is for episode 19. Annie Alexis Ann, because we got all of our names going on right there. The Ting Tings, which was, like I said, episode 19. Episode 18, Metafiction, we are also going to be discussing, as in we, meaning me. I'm Lyndsey Wegner. I'm your host for the evening. Unfortunately, Travis is stuck in Palm Springs on work, and Tom is in Pennsylvania, Philadelphia, for his wedding this weekend. So big congrats to Tom. But we're going to call him so he can discuss these episodes with me, so I'm not completely alone here all in the studio, even though I have the lovely Roya taking care of me tonight as well.
Yay.
Yay. So we're going to get Tom on the phone. But so we've got 2 weeks to cover. Thank you guys for your patience last week in, not having a show. And here I am by myself anyway, so I could have done it for you last week. All right. So last week's episode 18, Metafiction.
I believe Tom is on the line.
Do we have Tom on the line
Hello?
already? Yay. Hi, Tom.
Hi.
Hi. Are you tired right now? It's 1 o'clock in the morning for you, right?
No, I'm good. Don't worry.
You're good? Okay, cool. Well, we're just going to hop right into episode 18, Metafiction, and discuss that the main theme, I think, of this episode was everybody talking to Cass and wanting him to be a leader. That was, I felt like, the main thing that everybody wanted from him and to see from him. What do you think?
Yeah, I feel that was definitely the main. I felt like this whole episode was all, like, looking back on it now, it seemed like it was all written from Metatron. Like, I think everything was written out. I think this was his story. I don't know if anything was really real in this episode.
In the whole episode, or do you feel like that's in the whole episode, or just?
Like, I think everything happened, but I think everything that happened, he wrote to happen that way.
I love that idea. I love that theory. I definitely think that could be real. I mean, we can discuss about Sam and Dean and Dean's need for killing and death, which I still think is real, that maybe Metatron doesn't completely know about just yet. But that could definitely be a big part of it. I mean, considering he ended the whole thing saying to be continued, it sounds like it's definitely part of his plot and part of his plan.
Yeah, definitely. To me, that just watching the episode, just how he brought, like with Gabriel coming back, and you still got the little twist in the end of, like, is he really dead? I don't think he is.
You don't think
he is.
You don't think Gabriel's dead?
Like 2 or 3 seasons ago.
Mm-hmm.
But he is an angel, so
he could still be.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. No,
he could still be out there somewhere.
I definitely agree. So we'll recap this pretty quickly so we can get into the next episode as well. We start off, obviously, with, hopefully everybody's watched all this already, but obviously Castiel finds a marking on the wall, a symbol that drew all the angels in, including Hannah, who followed the noise along with some of her other angels, and an angel later arrived saying he worked for Metatron and they wanted them to join Metatron and fight to return to heaven. Some of the angels joined, others refused. She was the lone person. Castiel healed her, and the big thing we see here is that she wants him to lead all the angels against this fight against Metatron.
Mm-hmm.
So
going back to what you said, it was definitely. I mean, we find out later too, like that it was all set up, the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
For
I loved that. I loved that.
Cool.
Yeah, what I have it written down exactly. Oh, every hero needs a villain. So that's fantastic. So Next up, we see Sam and Dean on the phone with Castiel, knowing it's Gadriel going after the people to join the fight with Metatron. And to get answers from him, they need to find Gadriel to figure out what's going to happen with everything and find out where Metatron is. And they found out all the symbols were found in crime scenes, which were homicides all in Utah in industrial areas. So they obviously head there. As we see Gadriel going into it looked like a smoke shop type place that has hunter signs on the door. And obviously we know that guy's not going to stick around long. Although I was glad to see it was a guy that only got to be in one episode and not a girl, because they kill a girl off every episode. She just has one scene or two. But Hannah's actually sticking around so far as we know. And so let's jump back to Castiel. And he's leaving his room, and as he leaves, this Casa Erotica comes on, and he can't turn it off because there's a message specifically for him from Gabriel, and that he needs his help. And so you obviously...
I like that, because
okay.
in episodes before, that was how, like, Gabriel was, like, considered, like, a trickster, and, like, he would just basically mess with Sam and Dean so much, and his episodes were probably like some of the most fun episodes that I've watched of the show. Like, there's one where they go back and they're basically stuck in like a television. They're just switching from like channel to channel, kind of thing, and she's like showing up in different TV shows. So that was like, you know, one of my favorite episodes that they've ever had. And every time they've shown him or he's been a part of an episode, it's been really cool. So it was cool to see him back, and like that's how he would get their attention too, by like being in like adult films and stuff. That's how he would get their attention. So
yes, definitely.
It just worked very well to bring him back that way.
The humor worked well for this episode, actually. I mean, obviously we see it in the writing of Metatron. Even there's a little bit of lightness to it. You know, so that was I thought that was kind of neat to see. So we know that they're still they're on the run from Metatron, and he once again says that he'll be the new front man to kill Metatron, and the only reason he came out of hiding was because he heard the Horn of Gabriel, which is a song. Have we heard that in the past?
No.
No,
I
this
think
is
that's
new.
what that symbol is too. I think the symbol makes the noise.
The horn.
Makes the
Oh,
horn
okay.
go off.
Oh,
I think
okay.
that's what it was.
Sure.
So I think that's why they were all getting drawn to it. That's what I understood it to be. That's what I thought it was. That's why he was getting drawn out.
As soon as I saw that Gabriel had said something about being the new front man, even though everyone else was pushing Cass to do it, I knew something had to be up. I knew it wasn't something was weird. I felt something was weird about it because everyone has always been pushing Cass to be in control. So as soon as we got to, you know, the gas station where he says, okay, well, I'm going to sacrifice myself. You run off and you lead. I'm like, okay, all right, what have we got going on here? And then obviously Castiel figures out that no, Gabriel's actually dead. And this was like a suicide mission to prove that Cass can take the leadership role. And then obviously everything's fake. Everything was just fiction as he snaps his fingers.
Yeah. And then I like that part that Metatron used someone that he trusted, or Cass kind of trusted, to be able to get into his mind and capture him. I thought that was a cool concept that they used, and it wasn't just Metatron showing up and like grabbing him and taking him, you know, back up to heaven. Yeah.
No, absolutely.
And what do you think they were back in heaven, where Metatron is?
No. Oh.
I can't tell because at the end he did say like, oh, it's the gate sealed.
No,
and Gabriel was like, yeah, it is. Yeah, like it's sealed to get back in. It's sealed so nobody else can get back in.
No.
So I think they were in heaven, and that's his like office.
I think they're still on Earth. I don't know. I guess that makes it difficult to explain how they could be in hiding and stuff, and how people would be able to transport, because obviously they had to bring Castiel back. Metatron had to bring Castiel back to Sam and Dean, so they did come back to Earth. I don't know. That's an interesting point. That's something that the viewers out there and listeners out there can let us know what they think, if they were actually in heaven, or if if Metatron is stationed in Earth somewhere that we just don't know and haven't decided yet. Let us know by commenting on our YouTube or on iTunes. Rate us 5 stars. Let us know what you think about the show, and rate all the other AfterBuzz TV shows 5 stars. And make sure you're watching Chasing Maria every Tuesday at 10 p.m. on Oxygen. So next, before that, we obviously, Sam and Dean finding the shopkeeper dead, and Castiel had called to let them know that they're heading towards Castiel was heading towards the bunker with Gabriel. And we find that Sam has now found Gadriel, and there's a little ploy to call Castiel again to trap him and get answers from him, which was awesome. And Sam obviously wants vengeance on Gadriel for everything that happened the first, how many episodes of this season where he was healing him from the inside, but how much was he really healing him and all that other stuff, which we obviously understand why Sam is so connected to this, this guy. And I think it's awesome. Exactly. I think it's awesome that Dean had told him, no, you need to leave. You're too close to this. Go find Castiel. I'll take care of Gadriel. Which brings us back to that mark of Cain, and how I think as we go on, like we were talking about a couple weeks ago, that addiction, that want, that need for Dean with the mark of Cain to really go after and be spiteful and vengeful and almost bordering on evil at times.
Yeah.
Especially in this last episode we just saw.
Yeah. He definitely is feeling the effects of it. You could see it. I think, was it from the beginning when he was like getting ready and like looking at it? Like, it's definitely taking control of him. I think definitely more and more as we go on. And he wants to, if he's not getting his like fix of, killing somebody, I think the mark is making him want that even more.
Mm-hmm. Yes, absolutely.
And then we saw too when he, when Gadriel was trying to get him to kill him, he was trying so hard, and Dean was about to, but stopped himself. Mm-hmm. I think the mark wanted him was trying to get him to kill, but Dean was able to overcome it and stop himself, and he knew that killing him wouldn't do anything.
Exactly.
He knew that he needed to keep him alive.
He knew that. Even though Gadriel was pushing for him to kill him and say, kill me, you've always been that scared little boy that didn't want to be on his own, and that Sam wouldn't change his life trade his life for his, and he's let everyone die around him. Obviously, there was that want to kill him for saying those things, but he stopped him because he knew it would be far worse for him to rot away in those chains than kill him. And that was what Gadriel.
Really going to kill him?
No.
Watching it?
No, I knew he would have rather let him rot. I got nervous when I saw when Sam came back and Gadriel was out of the chair and he was laying next to Dean. I was like, oh my gosh, he just killed him, and that's their their leverage for getting Castiel back. But I got a little nervous right then and there. So let's talk a little bit about Castiel and Metatron then, having this little rendezvous in Metatron's office, talking about how he's written this and that every hero needs a villain, and slaughter those who will not join the army but let one live to tell the tale, which is what Hannah was to all the angels there. And he's read the Winchester Gospels and said Gabrielle was brought to teach him a lesson. And Castiel thought he was supposed to be the hero, but Metatron tells him, no, he's not the hero. He's actually the villain because Metatron is the hero. And I loved the moment where he put his hand on his head and like gave him all the knowledge of all the books and TV shows and movies of everything.
Yeah, I like that too.
That was neat.
I mean, I don't know how that's really going to, because sometimes I like the cast is very innocent and doesn't know a lot of stuff. Now that he knows all this stuff, I don't know how that changes his character. Going forward, it kind of almost makes him too, like, now he's very much like Sam and Dean, and everyone, like, he's very much human because he knows all this stuff now. So I just think, I don't know, it could kind of hurt the funny little things that we find about Cass
that are so sweet and endearing.
Yes, yeah,
sure. And we also find out that Metatron says he didn't kill Castiel because he actually liked him.
I don't know how much that's true.
Do you think that was leverage? Do you think that's part of a story?
I think so. I really think Metatron is really writing this, rewriting things now, or rewriting it to how he wants it to be. And it seems that, I think he just left Cass human because he didn't think Cass would be smart enough to maybe get Grace back and, and be involved in everything again.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think he underestimates Cass in that way.
Were you surprised that Cass turned the endless supply of Grace down?
No, because that's just Cass. Like, he wants to get it back, the right way, not just being given it. So that's just the type of character he is.
So we find Dean reflecting on the conversation with Gadriel. And Metatron appears in the room saying they have something of each other's. He wants Gadriel, otherwise he'll kill Castiel and even trade, and Metatron is an entity of his word. And, Sam tells Dean about the exchange, and they're both up for it and do believe that Metatron will play along and play nice. But yet, when they meet up with Metatron, they have a trap set. This holy fire that Metatron blows out, is that normal that he can do that? How does he have the ability to do that?
I think because he's God now. I don't know. I mean, we've never seen anybody do that before, so that's just like,
That's what I
kind
thought.
of blew my mind. I was like, wow, he's that powerful that he can just, they can't trap him. They really, like, I kind of like what he said at the end, where he was just like, you guys, like, I'm gonna enjoy watching you guys try to beat me because I know the ending, and I just know what's gonna happen. There's no way you're ever gonna be able to beat me. So I think that's very interesting. I want to know how they're going to try to beat him now.
Mm-hmm.
If he's writing the story, he knows the end.
Yeah, he's already made up the ending.
He can rewrite it to whatever he wants it to be.
Which means that he is playing God then.
Yeah, he really is, I think.
So, I mean, that's what Castiel even says. He's like, technically he is God if he can do all these things. Mm-hmm. I loved the fact that he had finally understood the Death Star reference, but like you said, this may take away some of our cute little thoughts about Cass. And I love this because this is the first time he's seen Dean with the mark of Cain, and he notices something different about him and finds it. And he's obviously worried about Dean and tells Sam to keep an eye on him.
Mm-hmm. Because I think Cass knows exactly what that does to people. So that's why he's like, obviously keep an eye on him.
This is okay. I feel like this is the first time now that we're finally seeing where maybe Sam is a little bit more letting their rift go, maybe, because now he actually realizes that Dean may have maybe a changed person, and there's more to fear than their rift. Mm-hmm. I think this is the first that we see of that.
They got along pretty well in this episode. Like, there wasn't any. They didn't really talk about all the other backstory of things that have been happening. So.
Mm-hmm. And before the episode ends, we obviously Metatron saying that all great stories usually need a rewrite, so he's got to rewrite his. And he's got a surprise twist from Sam and Dean, and he knows the ending as long as everyone plays their part. So his God-like abilities in this episode are gonna have major effects on the rest of this season. It's gonna be huge.
I thought it was interesting when Gadriel was like, well, was that all part of the story? And he was like, well, no, that was a twist. I don't think that was a twist at all.
I think he added that twist himself, exactly.
Like, and I thought it was interesting how he was like, well, you never know who's going to surprise you. And I think Gadriel is going to be the one that surprises us in the end and not, and maybe switch sides and go with Sam and Dean.
I don't know about that just yet, but that's a good prediction. I
don't see him staying with Metatron, maybe. I don't know. Who knows, though?
I don't necessarily continue to see him be like one of Metatron's minions. I feel like he thinks that he's more powerful than that and more evil than that. So there's obviously something's going to come up between them. Maybe he'll join forces with like Abaddon or Crowley or something.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's a good idea.
Because I could see that happening.
See that coming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the last thing we see, obviously, Castiel puts up the angel signal, and Hannah shows up with her flock of angels, and this is exactly what Metatron has written and said was going to happen.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I like that. It was like, okay, well, Cass is doing exactly what he wanted him to do.
Mm-hmm.
So does that mean Cass is taking his deal, and we're not seeing that far yet, or what is it? Or Cass is just going to go against him and build this army and try to destroy him.
Well, like we said, the theme of this episode being the fact that Cass is supposed to be a leader, and he's finally taking this leadership position, and maybe this is what Metatron has written. And so we're going to find these two sides, you know, going against each other. So.
Yeah.
All right, let's jump into episode 19, Alex, Annie, Alexis, Ann. And we find a cop taking a young girl and putting her into a holding cell where she's found by a guy named Cody, who she seems to know, but seems set on hurting her, to which we have the return of Jody Mills doing a little beheading. And obviously this young girl is upset about this, and Sam and Dean show up in Sioux Falls, check for fang check. She knows that they're hunters then because of this. And they find out.
Yeah, looking for vampire fangs.
Exactly. They're looking for vampire fangs, knowing that that's, you know, that the other guy was obviously a vampire that had come for her and said that they think she's Annie from Kenosha, Wisconsin, woo woo, that was abducted in 2006 from her family. And they were trying to figure out if she could have lived with vampires this whole time. Was she their source of, a blood slave, or was she protecting them? So I thought that that was a really, really interesting idea, to have a human living among vampires for as long as she has been. I mean, I don't know how old she was. She could have been between 16 and 18.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah. Yeah. Well, they had her for 9 years.
9 years?
Right?
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So,
okay.
I don't remember how old she was when she was taken away.
But
yeah.
The fact that she's been living among them and is still alive, obviously there's a story to tell. My frustration with this episode, I felt like in the last episode at least, it moved us forward in the plot. This episode, I felt like, well, we didn't really get any further in what's happening with Abaddon, Crowley, Metatron, or anything like that. I thought it was still a really good episode, and there were some really great acting scenes in it. But I want to move forward. I want to know what's going on. I don't want to wait any longer. I'm getting anxious and antsy.
Yeah. I completely agree with you. I thought this episode set us back like 3 steps. Like I don't understand. I mean, this episode was good. But it didn't push this plot forward. The only thing that I watched this episode, and I mean, my notes, I take, pretty lengthy notes for an episode. For this episode, I really only wrote down 4 lines, and that was it.
Really?
Yeah, because I just didn't think it was
all that important.
It was a weird placing of this episode in the whole season. I get it was trying to push forward. Like, the only thing I thought it pushed forward was that Dean likes to kill even more now than he already did.
That's the only thing we saw.
That was the only thing that came across.
That's the only thing that takes. You like Jody?
I like Jody. I think she's a good character. I like having her in the show. I think she's a good like central based character that they can go back to have stories with. That it's like a Bobby or someone like that's oh hey, I need help with something. Let me go. Let's go help her. Blah 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 kind of thing. Go with that. But overall, the story of Alex, or what was her name? Alex. Annie,
I called her Alex
Alexa.
through the whole thing because that's what they mostly called her. So I stuck with what she had been named and what she remembers as her name. I did like seeing more of Jody's story and past and connection and emotional kind of turmoil that she's going through. And obviously it connected the vampire story to her story. So, I mean, that's definitely good. But yeah, I just didn't feel like it really moved us forward except for the fact that we saw Dean enjoy killing. But so we did find out that Alex was a part of this vampire family, and she was helping them get food, but she won't tell them where Vanessa is or where his mother is. Moving forward, we obviously find out that she's taken a bus to try and get away, and she feels guilt for everything that's happened. And Jody takes her to a safe. Is that Jody's house, or is it Jody's house, right?
Yeah, I think it's like her cabin.
Her cabin.
That she had.
You know, Alex, as a teenage girl, would do to somebody that just took her away kind of from her family or killed her brother, you know, kind of fights back against her and, you know, makes her feel bad about her family. She knows that there's obviously something going on. But then we see a connection build between the two of them because Jody has lost her son, and she knows how her mother must have felt to lose Annie. And now, you know, she's been living with this family for a long time without her real family knowing where she is. And Sam and Dean finally kind of come into play, and they're at the vampire's home, and they find one of the brothers whom they kill and know that it won't be long before they kind of catch up with the other guys. And so I guess the main thing about this episode for me was seeing the relationship between Alex and the mother, and the fact that the boys were kind of jealous of her. And the main point of Alex through her lifetime and why the boys were so jealous was because she was able to lure food in for them. She was the bait to get them for feeding time. So that's why the mother never wanted to kill her.
Or make her a vampire.
Or turn her into a vampire, because she was able to be a food source for them for all these years. And there definitely was a connection between the mother vampire and Alex. And we find out later on it's because she lost her daughter, and that's why she named her Alex. So they did have a connection.
And that's why she didn't turn her too.
So
I think she wanted to be human, and you know.
It's kind of beautiful, and even the fact that Alex was willing to turn because she did love her mom, but then realized how wrong it was because she's felt guilty about this for her entire life. You know, the blood and the killing and the guilt and the grief that goes along with all of that. But I just really thought that the relationships were really, really, whoever was directing and the actors were really digging deep to find past to bring to their characters to build really good character work and relationships. I thought that was awesome. I thought that was awesome. You definitely felt the connection between all of them, and even the understanding between Jody and the mom, even though they were against each other, but still their mutual understanding for why they were doing what they were doing. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree with you on that part. I did. As much as this story didn't push the overall story forward, I like that we got like a Jody-centric episode of seeing where she is and seeing how she's kind of piecing her life together, you know, after having like her son and husband killed. Because I'm trying to remember exactly what happened to them.
I couldn't remember.
I can't remember. I think they were coming back to life, or something happened to them. I can't remember now exactly what happened. I think they died, but then they came back to life, and then they had to be killed again. It was a weird story. I forget, but you know, so it's like she like lost them and lost them again. It's kind of like
horrible. As she said, it was horrible. They died terribly. So yes, they had to be killed the second time or whatever. But so they, you know, it was nice to see her in her element. You know, it was nice to see her kind of almost get a family again. Like I feel like her and Alex are going to be together now. Exactly.
Like,
I was kind of
stay with her.
wondering that myself. But
it seemed like it to me.
But before we get there,
towards the end,
let's talk about Sam and Dean and the fact that they've I'm trying to look in my notes here. If they found the guys or the guys found them.
Well, they went back to the
house. They went back to the house. Yep, with Jody, and Jody heard moaning, so she went to go find that. Sam and Dean are upstairs. The brothers come in, attack them, you know, hit Dean. Dean's on the ground. They tie Sam up. They're draining Sam's blood to feed them for later, and are planning on killing one of them, knowing that they've killed their brother. And obviously, we see the power play. We know Sam and Dean, nothing bad is going to happen to them. And Dean has now overtaken one of the brothers, the vampire brothers, and the knife is now facing him, facing the vampire.
I did write down that line.
And
like, look at me, bitch.
Yeah, the look at me. And then just the look on Dean's face, you knew he wanted to kill, and that was, it just was overwhelming how much he wanted this guy dead. And it was crazy because we've never seen Dean, we haven't ever seen Dean like that.
No, yeah, that was,
so,
it definitely was, the mark was taking him over.
There was no stopping that, and it was just, it was so powerful, and like I said, overwhelming. And the fact that Sam even brings it up and says, "Hey, man, you really enjoyed killing that, and that's not what we do. We don't enjoy killing people or going after people like that." And Sam and Dean thoroughly enjoyed it. And this is the point that Castiel made to Sam, that he's got to keep an eye on him, because this could lead them down a very, very bad path too soon. I know, I think we both agree that at some point it's going to be worthwhile for Dean to go with this, but not yet.
Yeah. And I wasn't able to see previews for next week. Were you?
Yes, I did see previews for next week. But before we get to previews too, so we obviously see the relationship between the mother and Alex, who she has now started to turn. But Alex needs to feed on somebody before she can become a true vampire, which is where she has Jody. As Jody's gone down to find Alex, she's captured her. And this is the relationship where we find out that the mother had a daughter named Alex, and they have this connection because Jody's son was obviously taken from her too soon. And now this girl, and she wants to help her. And Alex is conflicted because she wants to do what's right by her mother, but still feels guilty about it and doesn't want to be that kind of person that kills people. And luckily, we see Alex make the right decision, grab the syringe of the dead man's blood, shoots her with it, and then Jody beheads her as Sam and Dean come down the stairs and see all this happening. And then, you know, we do see that Alex is going through withdrawals, coming back from being in a vampire-like state to coming back towards being human. And obviously both, you know, Jody admits to Sam and Dean that her judgment was clouded because of what happened in her past. But I absolutely 100% think that Alex will stay with Jody and kind of act like a daughter figure and her a mother figure, because she asked about her. Remember, Alex asked about her grandma, and her grandma said, or, you know, Jody said no. She, you know, so I don't know if her grandma was her caretaker and there were no parents.
Yeah, she was, yeah.
She was. Okay.
Yeah, they said she was with her grandma. Yeah,
okay.
They didn't say at the beginning.
So yeah, so obviously we know that I think Jody is going to take care of her and take her in and be that mother figure that she wants, but a positive influence.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. I think I don't know if we'll see them again this season, just because I feel like hopefully now we're ramping up to the end.
Yes.
But I think if we, you know, season 10, we could definitely check in on them again. Well, and also, do you think that like Alex will be a normal person, like normal, or do you think she will, you know, almost be like turned into like a hunter? I think
I think she's going to go towards hunting, just because that has basically been her life. Her you know, her whole existence has been helping, you know, bait and lure people for feeding for these vampires. So now I think in order for her to sustain a life, she's going to need some sort of excitement, and just being a normal girl isn't going to do it for her. And so I think she's definitely going to be a help, like almost like an assistant to Jody.
But do you think when they showed her like before, like being at the bar, I don't know how exciting that was to her. It seemed that she was very over it, of just, you know, a guy would kind of hit on her.
Yeah.
She'd be like, "Oh, you want to go home? Okay, sure. Let me lead you into this house."
I mean, yeah, she was like, definitely.
It was very quick, and she was just like, yeah, you're not going to do anything to me, and then,
Maybe this
She'd be
will
dead.
maybe this will want her maybe this will leave her feeling like she wants to be out of it completely. She wants nothing to do with
Yeah,
it
maybe
because of
yeah.
it. So that's
I mean, I feel like it could go either way. I feel like if we do see her again, there'll be something that gets her into the hunting, not shy her away from it.
okay. I like that. Well, next week, the preview shows, obviously, it's episode 20, which means that is our connection to Supernatural Tribes, right? It's still called Tribes, or did they change that?
No, they changed it to, I can't remember the name of it now.
Oh, sorry, guys. I don't remember the spinoff's name. It was Tribes. They changed it to something else. We see the intro with Sam and Dean talking to Ennis. I believe that's his name. He's the leader. He's going to be the, what the story centers around. And then the 5 monster families. That's coming next episode, which is going to link us into the spinoff show. Do we have any predictions?
Your AfterBuzz TV predictions.
Tom, do you have any predictions?
Yeah, I'll just, it's Supernatural Bloodlines.
Bloodlines.
It's
Thank you.
yeah.
Bloodlines.
I'm thinking Gabriel is going to turn on Metatron. And that Cass will act like Metatron wants him to act, but will end up finding a way to defeat him in the end. Like, I think him gathering all these angels is Cass doing something in his mind that we're not seeing yet to counteract Metatron.
Okay. I can't see Gadriel finding any goodness in himself that he could join forces with anyone that at one time was with Sam and Dean, like Crowley was. So if Gadriel is going to swap teams, I think he's going to go with Abaddon and leave Metatron. Like you said, I think there's going to be a blowout between that, and he'll join forces with Abaddon, who I hope that it doesn't seem like we're going to get that in the next episode, any Crowley or Abaddon or anybody else, maybe Metatron, because I think the show is next week is going to center more around the new spin-off show. But I think in the next couple episodes, we're going to get Abaddon and Crowley back, and hopefully we'll get back on track as the season kind of, comes, slows down and gets to this, season 10 or, finishing up season 9.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So, but I definitely see Dean getting further and further into his mark of Cain and becoming more and more evil, and I love it. I love it and I hate it at the same time. I love it because it's such a cool character trait, and I hate it because it scares me. So.
You don't want Dean to be bad?
No, I don't. But I still like our idea that I still like our idea that he takes over as the king of hell and all that stuff. I think it's a brilliant plan and idea, and him and Sam being against each other in the end. But
whoever wrote that, someone wrote that a couple weeks ago. Like, Dean is the bad guy next season. I think would be an awesome idea for them to do.
I love it.
It'd be really cool.
Thank you so much for calling in, Tom. We really, really appreciate it.
No problem.
Thank you for being my co-host via call-in. Congratulations to you, and so excited for your wedding this weekend. Yay! Guys, my name is Lyndsey Wegner, and you can find me on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Lyndsey Wegner, and my blog, lyndseywegner.blogspot.com. And if you want to come if you live in Los Angeles and want to come see my play, The Wizard of Oz, it's on Saturday, and you can get tickets at goldstar.com for half off. So check it out. Thank you, guys, and we'll see you next week.
And Tom, where can we find you? Are you still there?
You can find me on Twitter at TomTheCom. And it's Saturday, getting married.
Yay for Tom. All right, we'll see you next week. Tom will be back
guys.
here next week with us, a married man. Bye, everybody.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.
Thank you for watching AfterBuzz TV on YouTube. For more of your favorite after shows and interviews, subscribe to our channel here, and be sure to share your opinion on the episode in the comment section below here. We'd love to see what you guys are buzzing about. Thanks again. Buzz you later.